I was wearing sunglasses, yet he picked me out of the crowd in a heartbeat. Tang tang, I'm back to marry you. Doubt flickered in my eyes. I'm sorry, do I? He gave a helpless little laugh. Come on, don't be mad. I didn't run out on the wedding on purpose. After Whitney and I saw the elephants, she wanted to photograph the whole trip. She's the only baby sister I've got, so of course I spoiled her. Now that the 2-year shoot is wrapped, I jumped on the first flight home to keep my promise. Only then did I realize this gaunt, sun-blackened man flashing a white grin was my former fiancé. Wait, did no one bother to tell him I married his little uncle the same day he bolted? Before we go further, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling us where you're listening from. Riverdale's arrivals hall surged around us. In one hand he carried a Chanel tote, in the other he steered a Rimowa. Perched on the suitcase, several shades darker herself, rode Whitney, being wheeled like royalty. 2 years in Africa had left them looking as if they'd spent the time digging coal. Pitch black. Back then he'd been fair, handsome, well-built, basically the reason I'd agreed to the alliance. Now, thank God he isn't my husband. I slid off my sunglasses and offered a polite smile. Sorry, long time no see. You've both changed so much I didn't recognize you. Whitney, true to form, fired first. Cut the act. You're here drooling for Zay, admit it. If we hadn't tossed our Sims and gone off-grid, you'd have chased us all the way to Africa. No idea why he still wants a woman who's nothing but a pretty shell. She tossed her head, fuming. He ruffled her hair, tapping her nose in gentle reproof. Once Serena and I are married, she'll be your sister-in-law. Show some respect. If you don't, forget Europe next summer, no photo safari for you. With her temporarily pacified, he turned to me. She's still a kid. You know her dad died saving me in that crash, she lost her only parent. When we're husband and wife, I hope you'll treat her like your own little sister. Did he even hear the garbage coming out of his mouth? I rolled my eyes with elegance and flashed my wedding ring. Dear second young master, thank you for jilting me. It let me land a man 1,000 times better. I'm not here for you, I'm picking up my husband. He froze, then narrowed his eyes and smirked. Serena, do I look brain-dead to you? The Jovance marriage made every society page in Riverdale 2 years ago. Everybody knows you were my bride. Running off ruined your reputation, who else would marry you but me? So that was his safety net. Sure, I'd be damaged goods with no takers but him. Overestimated himself, underestimated me. Sterling cleaned up his mess by forking over shares, and a son. To suit the Vance family, Sterling signed over the stock that should have been his, gifting it to me. Clearly he hadn't heard a whisper. 2 radio silent years for Whitney will do that. Tonight, once we're back at the Sterling estate, we'll see how wide he can grin. Back then he'd sworn he'd rather die than be forced into marriage, then claimed love at first sight and pursued me for 6 spotless, scandal-free months. I finally said yes. Enter Whitney, the orphan sister he turned into a princess. On wedding day, mid-ceremony, she phoned Zay, remember? You promised to take me to Africa to see elephants. I'm on the roof, Riverdale seasons. If you don't come, I jump. He gave me an apologetic glance, dropped my hand, and sprinted past 500 guests. 2 texts arrived, then silence. Uncle Wen saved my life, she's his only child, I can't let her die. Don't worry, 1 week max, back to finish our vows, then Maldives honeymoon. Sterling was livid. To appease the Vances, he asked, Tang Tang, name your price. I pointed to his youngest son, Adrian, now head of Sterling. Give him to me. The wedding just needs a groom swap. And that's how I became his runaway nephew's aunt-in-law. I checked the time, Dryan's flight should land any minute. My phone buzzed, babe, we're delayed. I just boarded, we'll be late. Don't wait, send Leo for me. Love you. A huge red heart emoji. My lips curved, my brow relaxed. Suddenly even my cringe-worthy ex, now my grandnephew-in-law, looked almost bearable. Arms folded, he studied my screen with a half-smirk. Cute, paid a bit part actor, labeled him LG, husband? Flight delay and all. Tang Tang, jokes like that make me jealous. He stepped closer, reaching to toy with my hair. I retreated, his hand hovered mid-air. I told you, I'm married. Keep flirting and you'll be limping tonight. He laughed, pointing at the jade pendant resting on my collarbone. Grandpa swore that Phoenix goes to the Sterling bride. You're wearing it and claiming you married someone else? True, Sterling gave it to me, but as the family's daughter-in-law, not granddaughter-in-law. I married, Whitney cut in. Is that the jade Phoenix pendant? She hopped off the suitcase and wedged between us. The instant she recognized it, her eyes reddened. Looping her arm through his, she muttered, "Zay, I begged forever and Grandpa wouldn't give it to me, yet he hands it to an outsider. Just because I'm a chauffeur's daughter, not some born rich princess, even he plays favorites." His face folded into apology. "She's young and insecure, please humor her. She adores it, let her have it. I'll replace yours with imperial green jade, bigger, better." A laugh sputtered out of me, pure anger. "Second young master, get your head checked. Isn't Whitney 25, a few months older than me? I loathe giant babies and thieves who covet other people's things. She's both." Whitney's tears fell on cue. "Zay spoils me no matter my age, you're just jealous. You aren't even married to him, who are you to wear sterling heirlooms? Shameless. Officially she's a ward, never adopted, never entered in the family book. By any metric, she's the outsider. He once begged Sterling to make her a real street Erling, denied, he backed off. Hence the lifelong guilt." Seeing her sniffle, he frowned. "She's parentless, rejected by the family tree, of course she panics." I cut in with a sweet suggestion. "Want her in the family register? Easy. Marry her yourself. I'll gift the pendant as wedding cash. A Sterling granddaughter-in-law can wear it with pride." I unclasped the jade and held it out. Whitney gaped, wild joy flashing through her tears, hand shooting forward. "Don't even think about it." He snatched the plaque midair and crushed it in his fist. "What kind of nonsense is that? Whitney is, she's just my adopted sister, you're the one I want to spend my life with. Pick anybody to be jealous of, just not. She's family, you're my lover. Stop throwing a tantrum, keep this up and I'll really get mad." Those soulful eyes should have melted me, instead they turned my stomach. Done talking, I swung around and walked off, deaf to whatever Sterling was still shouting. The instant I stepped through the Riverdale doors, a discreet Maybach glided to the curb. The driver, Lou, hopped out and pulled the rear door open. "Madam, the boss said he'll be out later. Shall I take you home first?" Adrian had been away on business 2 weeks. Sterling knew he flew in today and had ordered everyone to gather at the estate for dinner. Before I could answer, someone elbowed me aside and dived into the car. Whitney settled into the leather seat, smirking. "Aren't you married now? Ride your husband's car, quit mooching off the Sterlings." She recognized the Maybach, it belonged to Adrian, Sterling's youngest uncle. Sterling recognized it too, he looked flattered, because his uncle never bothered with chauffeur duty. He slid in beside Whitney, clicked her belt, then turned to me. "Take the front seat, used to sitting next to me. I'll have Lou drop you at the Vance house first." "No need. I brought my own ride." I produced a key fob and pressed unlock. Half a block away a Lamborghini flashed its leg. Height. Seeing me peel off in a hypercar, envy flickered across Whitney's eyes. Sterling sighed. "She came all this way to pick me up, must be mad I didn't ride with her." Then he asked Lou, "Did Uncle send you for me?" John answered truthfully, "No, sir. I'm here to pick up the boss from Riverdale." The air froze for 2 beats before Sterling managed, "What a coincidence. Where is Uncle, then?" "I killed time at a spa, indulged in a facial, and rolled up to the estate right before dinner. As soon as I stepped out, I saw 2 human posts kneeling ramrod straight on the gravel. Turned out the moment Lou delivered Sterling and Whitney, Sterling heard who was in the car, hurled his cane, and refused them entry. Scram. Why didn't you just die in Africa and save us the bother?" Sterling gambled on the old man's soft spot and dropped to his knees. Whitney knelt beside him for moral support. When they spotted me, Sterling sprang up, gloom switching to cocky delight. "I knew you still cared. The second you heard Grandpa punish me you came running." I tried to sidestep, he blocked me again, all fake concern. "Don't go in, Grandpa's still furious. I'm afraid he'll take it out on you." Whitney crept over, finger jabbing at my nose. "Still holding a grudge 'cause Zay ran out on your wedding for me? You poisoned Sterling's mind, he always spoiled Zay. Why else lock him out? You're here to gloat, admit it." She lunged to grab me, I pivoted, she kissed the flagstones. Her knee scraped, tears gushed. Sterling pressed his lips tight, knelt, checked the scrape, then scooped her up in a textbook Princess Carrie. After much cooing her tears stopped. Only then did he remember me. "Serena, I hardly know you anymore." Speaks before she thinks. "If you marry me you'll have to put up with her. Apologize and we'll call it even. From now on, work on that temper." "Excuse me?" My vision flashed black. I laughed coldly. Should I toss in a little bonus to soothe her glass heart? Greed glinted in Whitney's eyes. "I'm short a runabout, that car you drove today barely passes." A Lamborghini, 3 in the world, $23 million, and she called it barely passes. Sterling took charge again. "Since she likes it, give it to her, consider it compensation for the fall." I stared at him. You see people through a sieve? Huh? I said, not a chance. I shoved Sterling aside and marched toward the door. Stop right there. Realizing I'd mocked him, Sterling's face turned livid. Serena, mark my words, skip this apology and you can forget marrying me, forget setting foot in the Sterling house. Crack, a dragon-headed cane whirled through the air and clipped Sterling's skull. From 10 yards away Sterling's roar rang clear. Idiot. That's your aunt. Clutching his head, Sterling bit back a curse, then spotted the old man approaching and deflated. Grandpa, why hit me? You scared half to death. And who's Xiao Shen, new hired help? Silence fell. The butler supporting Sterling and every servant behind him swiveled eyes toward me. Sterling, oblivious, called to the staff, which of you is Xiao Shen? Fetch a doctor for Snee. Moron. Furious, Sterling flung off the butler, retrieved the cane, and whacked Sterling's shins. Afraid the old man would stroke out, I stepped in. Dad, easy, anger burns your own blood. Sterling's brain buzzed, he even let Whitney slip from his arms. He latched onto my wrist. Tang Tang, wrong title, this is Grandpa. You can't call him Dad. Sterling thundered, Tang Tang is your uncle's wife, show respect to your elder. Let go. Sterling's pupils shrank, he recoiled. No way. Uncle would never marry her. Couldn't blame him. Adrian's rep for ice-cold celibacy was legend. Outsiders swore he was either impossibly picky or simply not into women. Before the wedding I'd met Adrian exactly twice, once at the engagement banquet, accepting my toast, once at the ceremony, taking my hand. Even I hadn't expected him to say yes when I asked to switch grooms. Sterling grabbed a S.E. Revant by the sleeve, pointing at me. Tell me, what's she to my uncle? The maid quavered, second young master, she is the second master's wife. Second master meant Adrian. Scram. Sterling shoved her toward the butler. Fubber, you watched me grow, I trust you. Speak. The old servant hesitated, then nodded. It's true. The lady is your aunt. Liars, all of you. Sterling's face contorted. He speed-dialed Bella overseas. On pickup Bella sneered, oh, still busy chasing elephants in Africa? Thought you'd traded your real sister for that adopted pet. And your actual wife while you were at it. Normally he'd snap back, now he only shoved the camera in my face. Sis, who is she? One look and Bella beamed. Hey, auntie, you're even prettier. Click, Sterling killed the feed. Head down, fists clenched, he muttered, Grandpa, why make the whole family act out this play for Serena? 2 years in Africa is my fault, hit me, make me kneel, but jokes like this kill. Still deluding himself. I caught the cane Sterling was about to swing again, met Sterling's eyes, and said quietly, search the headlines from the day you ran. Adrian and I made the front page. My old bedroom here holds our wedding portraits, go look. Still doubt it? I'll show you the marriage license. At the words marriage license, Sterling crumpled, eyes red, as though I were the heartbreaker. His bitter smile said he'd finally seen the writing on the wall. The wedding band on my left ring finger, the jade phoenix pendant passed only to Sterling daughters-in-law, and the uncle whose flight was delayed. Turns out I really wasn't there to meet him, hell, I didn't even know he was flying in today. Zach's eyes flickered, dark and unreadable. Then he dropped to his knees again, facing the doorway. Adrian still hadn't come home, so Zach kept kneeling in penance. Only 2 of us sat down to dinner. Sterling's rule, no talking at the table. Tonight he broke it. He sighed and said, child, you've been wronged. I watched Zach grow up. His parents died young, so I spoiled him. I never meant to turn him into a fool who can't tell up from down. In his prime Sterling had been ruthless, his 2 sons drilled mercilessly. After the elder son and his wife died in the crash, Sterling changed. The orphan Zach became the apple of his eye. So when Zach threw an adolescent tantrum and demanded Whitney stay in the Sterling mansion, Sterling pretended not to notice. He hadn't expected the boy to be reckless enough to jilt his bride at the altar and run off to Africa with Whitney. 2 years of radio silence. If Adrian hadn't stepped in, the decades-old alliance between the Sterlings and the Van Cess would have crashed and burned. I set down my chopsticks, the old man's heart had softened. Grandson or not, 2 years away had left a hole Sterling would never admit aloud. Dad, Adrian is twice the man Zach is. You've already made it up to me with 5% of Sterling's shares. I'm Zach's elder now. As long as he stays out of my face, the past is dead. By the front door, Whitney still felt the chill of Sterling's parting glance. It made her stomach knot. The day she entered the Sterling estate, Sterling had seen right through her and forced a choice in front of everyone. Option 1, take a $5 million check and vanish. Option 2, stay, eat and drink for life, but bury any ambition that didn't belong to a hanger-on. Whitney chose door number 2, marrying Zach and becoming quality aristocracy had always been the goal. 2 years ago she'd sabotaged the wedding so I'd make a fool of myself in public. Who knew I'd bounce back and marry the man who now held the sterling reins? Jealousy gnawed her guts out. She smoothed her face into concern and drifted to Zach's side. Zach, you still have me. Wherever, whenever, I'm here. Zach didn't seem to hear, he was muttering. Whitney leaned closer and caught the words. Why? Tang, why didn't you wait for me? Whitney hissed through clenched teeth, she's already married your uncle, game over. No, I still have a shot. Zach traced the phoenix carved on the jade pendant, the one he'd never managed to return to me. Their marriage is just a merger, there's no love. Tang loves me. Uncle can't make her happy. I'm taking her back. You're insane. Whitney stamped her foot. But Zach's face was deadly serious, he was ready to fight his uncle for me. He believed I would never let him lose. That same night he trapped me outside my bedroom. He held a bouquet of broccoli, eyes red-rimmed as if he'd been crying. A bitter smile tugged at his mouth when he saw me. Serena, congratulations, your revenge worked. I'm probably the last man in Riverdale to realize I've been cuckolded. But don't torpedo your own happiness just to spite me by marrying my uncle. He dropped to one knee and lifted the broccoli like a sacred offering. I stared at the green florets and wondered whether Sterling's dragon-headed cane had knocked his brains loose. Sorry, it was short notice, this was the only thing I could find in the kitchen. The sentiment's real. Tang, divorce him. Oh? 2 years in Africa and the only souvenir you brought back is the guts to tell my wife to dump me? The voice arrived before the man, flat, almost bored. Zach would recognize Adrian's timbre in his sleep. His hand shook, the ridiculous broccoli rolled twice and stopped at Adrian's Italian leather toe. Footsteps paused. Zach froze, too scared to meet Adrian's eyes. None of the younger Sterlings dared cross Adrian. Zach had personally witnessed the man's wrath. Uncle, he stammered, every rehearsed line evaporating. Adrian cradled 99 pale pink roses, stepped over the broccoli, and drawled, your aunt prefers roses. Don't get it wrong next time. I caught the undercurrent, he was jealous. 2 years of marriage had taught me the signs: cool facade, volcanic interior, a quiet, possessive vinegar factory. Zach's exile to Africa had Whitney's fingerprints all over it, but I was certain Adrian had greased the runway. Now that he'd caught his nephew prospecting in his yard, I'd better soothe the volcano or I'd be the one erupting later. I took the roses, rose on my toes, and grazed a kiss across his lips. Thanks, husband. Love them. Adrian's eyes darkened, he studied my mouth, then smiled lazily. I love them too. There's more inside. Nestled in the heart of the central bloom lay something that sparkled like cotton candy starlight, a pink diamond ring. I gasped. Pink. The flawless 60-carat stone had sold for $66 million at auction last week, bidder unknown. Turned out the mystery whale was Adrian. The instant I saw it, I knew you'd want it. Want it? I was delirious. Not caring that we had an audience, I flung my arms around his neck and plastered kisses over his face. The diamond's fire lanced Zach's pupils, our PDA stabbed straight through his heart. He opened his mouth, felt every inch the clown, and stumbled away. For days he marinated in bar fumes, a human pickle. Empty bottles carpeted the floor, cigarette butts floated in their own ash. Zach, sprawled among the trash, looked like a back alley vagrant. Whenever the alcohol thinned, my face floated up. The first time he saw me walk into a room and smile. The first time he held my hand, palms slick with nerves. The night he slid the engagement ring on my finger under a sky full of fireworks, promising forever. He drank to blackout, yet even in dreams I haunted him, slipping into Adrian's arms while he stood helpless. He trashed the private booth, smashing every glass, every bottle. Clutching his splitting chest, he collapsed on the carpet and shut his eyes. His cracked phone buzzed for the 108th time, Whitney, still dialing. Hours later a woman's silhouette parted the doorway and walked toward him through the strobe-lit haze. He caught the scent of roses and murmured, Tang. When he woke, his skull was cracked porcelain, and naked Whitney lay beside him. She blushed. Zach. I'm yours now. Sober terror crashed over him. He yanked on his pants and cinched his belt. Whitney, last night was a mistake. Forget it, especially in front of her. Not one word. Someone will bring you the pill. The Sterlings can't afford a bastard scandal. I'll wire you money, find you a decent husband, whatever you want. Whitney's face bleached. She wrapped her arms around his waist from behind. Serena's married, why can't you see me? I love you. Once he would have petted her and cooed excuses, today she grated on every nerve. He peeled her off like tape. You're out of line. I told you, you're a kid sister to me. And your pedigree? We'd be the punchline of Riverdale. Marry the chauffeur's daughter? I'd be a living joke. Whitney staggered back and landed on the carpet. She had always known Sterling looked down on her. She hadn't realized the boy who tucked her in and called her kitten thought the same. And in that moment Zach saw the light. Whitney was the reason he and I had missed our forever. So Whitney had been after him all along. At this moment, staring at her tear-streaked face, he felt nothing like pity, only a bonfire of rage. You still dare to cry? If you hadn't stuck your nose in, Serena and I would already be married. Get lost, I never want to see you again. Adrian slammed the door behind him, leaving the room trashed and Whitney's face twisted with venom. Across town, Adrian and I had been camped out at the Sterling estate for a few days. Adrian hadn't shown his face once. I didn't overthink it. I told myself he'd finally come to his senses and was keeping his distance. Better for him, better for me. Adrian, though, was still nursing a grudge. That night my back ached like I'd run a marathon. Just as I finally dropped off, someone jostled me awake. He zeroed in on my bare neck and said coolly, Serena, where's your jade pendant? I was too groggy, and the story was a hassle, so I rolled over and went back to sleep. By morning I'd forgotten all about it. For the next few days Adrian kept drifting into thought, sometimes icing me out when I tried to touch him. I puzzled it over and figured he must know the pendant was with Adrian. I perched on his lap and threaded my fingers through his long ones. Whitney wanted to snatch my jade phoenix pendant. The two of them deserve each other, so I wrapped it up as a gift for her. Who knew Adrian would snatch it back? After that he never returned it, and I plain forgot. I gave him my best kicked puppy look. When I saw his expression soften I struck while the iron was hot. With a husband as perfect as you, how could I still want him? Remember the broccoli he gave me? If he weren't your nephew I'd have slapped him into next week. Besides, it's really your fault. If you'd come home earlier he never would have cornered me. Adrian chuckled, flipped my hand over, and pressed his lips to my ear. Then punish me properly, let me serve you all night long. When he finally let me up for air I figured the storm had passed. The next time I saw Adrian was at Sterling's 70th birthday gala. Ever since the drunken one-night stand he'd kept his head down, avoiding Whitney and starting at the bottom rung of Sterling. I assumed the lesson had stuck and he'd quit chasing me. The second he spotted me at the party his eyes went red. Seeing my arm tucked through Adrian's, he clenched his jaw and forced out a barely audible Aunt Serena. I nodded, face neutral. 10 minutes later he cornered me on the ballroom balcony. Serena, I was wrong. I know you never liked Whitney. I'll keep her away, she'll never come between us again. A man like my uncle can only give you money, but I can give you every last drop of my love. If he'd said that with Adrian standing right there, I might have respected his guts. Instead he sneaked in like a coward, and I only despised him more. Ugh, a wave of nausea hit, I retched, color draining from my face. Across from me Adrian looked thunderstruck, voice small and hurt. You hate me so much it makes you physically sick? The sickness wasn't from him, it was morning sickness. I'd planned to announce the pregnancy tonight as Sterling's birthday gift, but why not give Adrian a little preview first? I dropped my gaze and stroked my still flat belly, radiant. Congratulations, you're going to be a big brother. You're pregnant? Adrian's face went even paler than mine. He stared at my stomach, trembling, then rasped, Serena, I'll raise your child as my own. No. Whitney burst from her hiding spot, shooting me a hate-filled glare before plastering Adrian's hand over her own belly. Adrian, feel this, I'm carrying your child. Adrian's blood turned to ice. Whitney had played him, she'd never taken the morning after pill. His voice was arctic. Get rid of it. I'll only have children with Serena. Whatever's in your womb, I don't want it. Whitney hadn't expected such cruelty. She shrieked, finger stabbing toward me. You think Serena's some angel? 2 years ago she sliced 5% of Sterling stock out from under you. That stake should have been yours. She publicly cuckolded you by marrying your uncle. All of Riverdale knows you're the laughingstock. Shut your mouth. Eyes blood red, Adrian backhanded her to the floor. The commotion drew nearby guests. I stepped in, waved over security, and had both of them locked in the family chapel while I returned to the party and Sterling's birthday toast. That night Sterling received 2 pieces of news: a grandchild on the way, he grinned ear to ear. A great-grandchild also on the way, his smile froze. Furious, Sterling barked, you made this sordid bed, now lie in it. Adrian knelt in the chapel and went on a hunger strike, 5 full days without food or water. His cheeks hollowed until he could barely stay upright. Whitney visited, not out of concern but to savor his misery. With Sterling softened enough to let her into the family thanks to the pregnancy, she no longer bothered Whit. The act. If I were Serena I'd pick the uncle too. You called marrying me a joke? Then I'll make you own the punchline. Adrian snapped, lunging and pinning her to the flagstones, hands closing around her throat. Bitch. 5 days of starvation left him weak. Whitney wriggled free, raking her nails down his face, kicking and clawing until Adrian was carried off to the hospital. Whitney started spotting and was wheeled in too, but she refused the doctor's exams. They finally strapped her down for an ultrasound. 3 months pregnant, the fetus stunted from malnutrition. Translation: she'd already been pregnant when she flew home. Sterling ordered an immediate investigation. It turned out Whitney had thrown herself at Adrian repeatedly in Africa. Rebuffed, she'd betted a local guy and conceived. At first she'd planned an abortion, then realized the baby might be her ticket into the Sterling dynasty. She'd volunteered to come home, got Adrian blackout drunk, and slept with him to pin the pregnancy on him. In her script Adrian would marry her out of guilt. Later she'd fake a miscarriage and mop up sympathy. She hadn't foreseen that he'd rather starve than wed her. Even as security hauled her away she kept shrieking, "It's Adrian's baby, we were together overseas. You can't do this. I'm carrying the Sterling heir." Sterling didn't even lift an eyelid. He flicked his fingers and the guards gagged her, dragged her out. After that Whitney vanished from Riverdale. Nobody knew where she'd gone. When Adrian learned the child wasn't his, a mouthful of blood splattered the hospital sheet and he buried his face in his hands, sobbing. He'd been played for a fool, almost walked around wearing horns. He couldn't face anyone. He locked himself in his room and refused even Sterling. 3 months later the butler delivered a velvet box. "Madam, the second young master is gone. He begged me to place this in your hands." I started to refuse, but the butler flipped the lid. "Incy. Delay the jade phoenix pendant. Full circle, back to me." I didn't ask where Adrian had gone. When my daughter was born another gift arrived, a tiny, exquisite infant's jade lock, imperial green jade. The postmark read Africa. Only then did I learn Adrian had shipped him off to open a new shipping line, 3 to 5 year assignment, no early return. I hurriedly buried the baby lock at the bottom of the gift pile where Adrian wouldn't spot it. Last time he'd tossed the pendant into some dusty corner and bought me a dozen necklaces so I'd change jewelry daily. What do you do with a husband who can pickle his own heart in vinegar? You coax him, that's what. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked it, please hit like and share with friends. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.